achievements would have to be recognized and supported and defended. I don't think we will be able to do that alone. So this is a clear choice for the international community. We understand the focus on Mogadishu, but we don't think that has to be used as an excuse of ignoring Somaliland stability and security and democracy. So I agree with Peter. We cannot guarantee. I think this is a message that we are sending out to the international community, that we need to be taken serious, we need to be supported, and we need to be engaged and acknowledged. The question about the Somaliland being too nice is not a joke. I was told by the African Union that we cannot take your case to the Peace and Security Council in the African Union because you are not at war with anyone. Somaliland has no intention, by the way, to cause trouble with anyone. So that's not what I think. That's not what we are aiming to do. But it was given in a conference like this that we are too nice. But we think that behavior has to be acknowledged. We feel that it has to be rewarded by both the African Union, but also by the Security Council.
If I can just follow up, just for you, you're asking for engagement. As you have meetings around town, I realize this is your first visit as foreign minister to Washington. What specific items, if there were 2 or 3 items that you would like to have from the United States in concrete terms, other than recognition, which unfortunately I don't think is going to come immediately, what are you asking for? What can we deliver realistically?
I think one of the concrete issues which I think can be easily delivered is the Security Council gets regular reports on Somalia. In fact, in a 2 days' time, the SRSG, the Special Representative of the Secretary General for Somalia, will be delivering a speech or a report for the Security Council members. Often in those repeats, Somaliland doesn't get mentioned. Yet the UN Security Council thinks Somalia is one. They tend to believe that they believe the territorial integrity of Somalia. They acknowledge our progress and stability, but in those reports we don't get mentioned. We are asking the United States government and other friendly other countries to ensure that Somaliland's progress, stability, democracy, ambitions and plans, and the role that we can take in the region has to be reported on a regular basis, in the way that Somalia is gets reported for the Security Council. So that's one idea that we want to share with our friends and with the United States government. That's one thing. The other thing we would like to talk about is, if the international community continues asking us, why don't you talk to the TFG? Can you help? We would like to help, but we would like to be able to access to an international and regional conferences where the issue of the region, including Somalia, it gets discussed. So we would like the United States of government to help us to become a partner to the international contact group, for example, which is a group of countries led by, I think, US is one of the countries that leads that process, to engage us. So we need to access international forums. We need to be invited for the UN Security Council briefings. So we will come and talk about Somaliland's progress and the role we can take in the regional security. Another issue is about piracy. Piracy, even though we don't produce pirates in Somaliland, we have been affected by the problem as a result of that. Where the United States government can engage us and think creatively with us about ways in which we can help America and other countries, but also help ourselves in reducing the risk posed by piracy in the region. So these are one of the ideas we would like to share with America.
Thank you. Ed Allen, IBTCI. To me, obviously, the dual track initiative has represented an important step forward. In what ways can the dual track be strengthened to benefit people who have been trying to live peacefully and to advance their own development?
as I said, dual track policy offers a new opportunity for Somaliland, but also stable areas in Somalia. But I think if the dual track policy would have meant an increased U.S. aid assistance to Somaliland, and if that assistance would be based on a bilateral assistance in a way that the Somaliland, I don't mean a budget support, cash coming from the USAID and going into the budget of Somaliland government, but if there were trust funds where those money put on, and Somaliland government would have a role to play in deciding which areas those money is going to be spent on, and which sectors those money is going to be spent. I think that would have been a good progress and a way forward for Somaliland. Another issue would be the security. We are expected to fight against piracy. We are expected to fight against terrorists in the region, but we are not allowed to develop our security sector. We don't actually share a lot of intelligence and information with America, with other countries. I hope that the dual track approach would facilitate those areas of cooperation. It would help us to train and develop our security sector, military and police. It will help us to get ships and boats in order to fight against pirates, and it will help us to have some military stuff that we can bring into Somaliland in order to defend ourselves against terrorists.
Dr. Omar, Steve Evans again from Marine Corps University Press. One comment on the terminology, though. I guess it's part of just the way the general population sees Somalia. I mean, no one refers to the Soviet Union anymore. No one refers to Yugoslavia, which broke up at the same time that Somalia did. So, I mean, I don't know what you can do about that, but I mean, you have three successor states, Somaliland, Puntland, and South Central Somalia, so I don't know if you can, as part of the dual track policy, insist that we call you Somaliland, but my question is, as part of the dual track policy, do you have any interaction whatsoever with the Combined Joint Task Force, Horn of Africa, that's in Djibouti? Do they offer at least training of forces or anything? They're right next door, and it's a short trip.
I think the short answer is no. We don't have that cooperation at all. I know the Pentagon is actually in favor of working with Somaliland. Not an official document, but I have heard of that. But I think it's the State Department that's standing in the way, if I'm honest. But we need to talk about that. But we don't have that cooperation at the moment, no.
Just have one question related to the Puntland, South Central, or TFG issue. I mean, your aspirations are independence, your aspirations are for recognition, but without the TFG or something that will come of the TFG or something in the future, in Puntland, I mean, would you be encouraged to have more official contact with each of those entities? Would your government welcome more official meetings and cooperation on a regular basis? I mean, you're talking about being included in more of the conversation. Obviously, the TFG is very much included in the conversation since they're the official entity. I mean, would you welcome more of the official inclusion of meetings with the TFG and Puntland?
Ideally, we would like to have a more cooperation with the TFG and Puntland. by the way, Puntland is not seeking for independence. It is a region which is part of Somalia. They see their future within the Somali political configuration. We do have actually a cooperation at the moment with TFG in a number of issues. One of the issues is Kampala process. We all, both Somaliland and Somalia, are part of the Kampala process. Kampala process is a regional framework whereby experiences and policies about anti-piracy activities are shared. And those processes is led by Britain and other countries. And we come, the Somaliland ministers and our officers regularly attend the Kampala process, and TFG comes as well. So we have that level of cooperation. But I think that's it. But we have an ideas about how we can cooperate with TFG in the future about trade relationships. We would like to have a tariffs set with the TFG in order to promote movement of trade and people. But it's very difficult. The TFG has no control on Somalia. They don't control beyond Mogadishu. I mean, they're controlling now Mogadishu for the first time in many, many years. So that's not possible, but we would like to cooperate with the TFG a lot more than that.
An interesting irony in all this is that although we, as the United States government, do a lot of engagement with the TFG, our legal position as the United States government is we don't recognize them as the government of Somalia. And we have that in plain black letter now finally from when she was Solicitor General, Elaine Kagan, and Professor Harold Koh. The legal position of the U.S. is no one is sovereign, but we'll still talk more to one another. So we're in a policy bind there that I think we need to sort out internally to move to a better place. I think if there are no other questions, thank the Minister for an extraordinary openness and willingness to engage everyone here. I think everyone comes away knowing more about Somaliland, knowing about its contributions to the region and to the dynamics, and hopefully sometime in the future we'll have you back again, and hopefully in at least a greater level of engagement has carried out, and hopefully that some of that begins here. So thank you again for your time and for your service.
Thank you very much.